Okay, let me give you some context before we get into the actual video that I want to react to with you guys. So, you remember I was saying this story about this woman? She goes to her pastor. She's complaining that she needs money. And she actually reveals to her pastor that she would be willing to offer her daughter in exchange for a sum of money, right? Well, this was the story that I was talking about. This is reported by BBC. It says missing South African girl was wanted for her eyes and her skin. Let me read this real fast. It says a young South African girl who disappeared last year, age 6, was allegedly sought by a traditional healer for her eyes and fair complexion, a court has heard. This is among the allegations that have emerged at the ongoing trial of Jocelyn Smith's mother, Kelly Smith, who has been accused of orchestrating her kidnapping. Miss Smith's boyfriend, Jaquin Apollos, and their friend Stavino Van Ryn have pleaded not guilty to charges of human trafficking and kidnapping. Jocelyn's disappearance in February 2024 from outside her home in Saldanha Bay near Cape Town sent shockwaves across South Africa. And despite a highly publicized search for her, she is yet to be found. Miss Smith initially said that Jocelyn, who had a fair complexion and blue-green eyes, had gone missing after she had left her in Mr. Apollos' care. So the mom leaves the daughter in the care of her boyfriend. Suddenly she goes missing. This is the story that the mom presented, right? Prosecutors later accused her of having sold, delivered, or exchanged the 6-year-old and lied about her disappearance. The trial, which is now in its 3rd week, is being held at a community center in the area. During the first week of the trial, the court heard details about the day Jocelyn went missing, including that Miss Smith only alerted the police more than 6 hours after she had first noticed that the young girl had disappeared. 6 hours. 6 hours go by. 6 hours. 6 hours. Hey, 6 hours later, my daughter's been missing for 6 hours. Can't find her. That's a little crazy. The court also heard that she appeared calm during the frantic search and seemed more concerned about her boyfriend's whereabouts than the missing child. Here's where things get very, very, very interesting. Furthermore, more shocking claims emerged in the 2nd week. A local pastor said that as far back as 2023, he heard Miss Smith, a mother of 3, talk of selling her children for 20,000 Rand, which equates to about $1,100 US. So the pastor overhears the mom talking about she would sell each of them for about $1,100 a piece. Though she had said she would be willing to also accept a lower figure of $275 each. A lot of questions here. The pastor heard this in 2023, correct? How come he ain't say nothing? I'm very curious. Maybe we'll know more about that once we get into the video. I have some clips from the trial and whatnot that I want to show you. Maybe they'll talk about that, but that's very interesting. It's extremely heartbreaking that a mother sees her children as property that she could sell. It's very interesting that a mother could see her children as property that she could sell. You know, gosh, it even goes back to what we were just talking about. People are willing to exchange something that is eternal for something that is temporary. Like, those children were made in the image of God. Those are God's children, right? Those are God's children. You're willing to exchange them for $1,100. I understand, like, everyone's conditions are different. In South Africa, there's probably levels of poverty that I can't even comprehend, right? But what makes a mother go to that point to where she would be open to selling her children in order to get out of that situation? Jocelyn's teacher then alleged in court that Miss Smith had told her during the search that her daughter was already on, Jocelyn's teacher then alleged in court that Miss Smith had told her during the search that her daughter was already on a ship inside a container and they were on the way to West Africa. These revelations paled in comparison to the explosive details made by Lorientia, a friend and neighbor of Miss Smith, who turned state witness. She took the stand last Thursday and over 3 days detailed the events in lead up to Jocelyn's disappearance that involved a traditional healer known in South Africa as a sangoma. Miss Lombard alleged that her friend confessed to her, "I did something silly. I sold my child to a sangoma," adding that she had been driven by desperate need for money. What is a sangoma? Sounds like a witch of some sort. Sangoma. This is according to an AI overview on Google. It says a sangoma refers to a traditional Zulu healer, a highly respected figure who diagnoses, prescribes, and performs rituals to heal individuals physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, often drawing on ancestral spirits. So, a witch. So you sold your daughter to a witch. Okay, let's get to the report. Let's get to some of these clips. This is being reported by Newsroom Africa. Let's play some of this stuff.
Family, friends, and Middle Post community members packed the Western Cape High Court sitting in Saldanha Bay to finally get justice for 6-year-old Jocelyn Smith. On Monday, the trial against the child's mother, Kelly Smith, her boyfriend, Jacqueline Apollos, and their friend, Stefano Van Rijn, got underway. They are facing human trafficking and kidnapping.
Listen, I understand it's a different culture. I understand, I understand it's different, but showing up to court in a white tee is kind of crazy. It's kind of, and I get it. It's a different, but this whole situation is crazy. The allegation that you traded your daughter in exchange for some bread because she had light skin and green blue eyes, and the pagan witch thought that she could use that to help you to heal people. And I'm just,
kidnapping charges in relation to Jocelyn's mysterious disappearance. Jocelyn's father is optimistic that his daughter is still out there somewhere. Kelly cut a somber figure in the dock, taking notes as the first witness took the stand. Constable Yanga Gongota recounted his interaction with Kelly on the night Jocelyn disappeared. He told the court that hours after the grade 1 pupil's disappearance, her mother never shed a tear.
What one can say that some of the things that came out was they met with Kelly, and she reported the child that the child has disappeared. Kelly didn't look very worried about didn't look like someone who's lost a child. She was more concerned about the whereabouts of her boyfriend. When they found the boyfriend in some other shed where they were smoking, she looked very relieved that she's found her. And the other thing, the first thing she asked was whether he had filled the gas canister. And one of the last things he said in his testimony is that Kelly, all the time he was talking to Kelly and asking about the child, Kelly never cried.
At the time of her disappearance,
she never cried. She never cried.
Jocelyn was left in the care of her mother's boyfriend. On day 2, the next witness, Constable Luzuko Kobese, spoke about the drug dealings of the accused. Both.
So he said they were at the house getting high, and somebody asked, where's Jocelyn at? And they were like, oh, she's sleeping. And then they go look and she not in there, and they just continue to get high.
Kobese and Constable Yanga Gongota, who responded to the scene, noted concerning behavior displayed by Jacqueline and Kelly as they pieced together the timeline of events.
Said he refused to give answers and he was pacing. He also appeared to be annoyed by the questions we were asking him. Every question we asked him, we had to give him more than one in order for him to give us an answer. That's not a good sign at all.
Kelly admitted that she kept Jocelyn and her older brother away from school due to dirty uniforms and dropped her youngest child at creche before going to work as a domestic worker. But the day soon took a dark turn. Kelly's legal counsel recounts his client's statement.
Just after 12 o'clock midday, I borrowed 50 rand from Colin, which I had used to buy drugs. I went to my home and smoked the drugs with accused one. I noticed that both the children were still at home at that time. After smoking, I then proceeded back to work, which was at approximately 1 o'clock. Just before 5 o'clock, I borrowed another 200 rand from Colin and proceeded to my home. When I got home, accused number 1 and accused number 2 were present. I then inquired from the neighbor, Makuti, if she had seen Jocelyn, and she said that the kids went to play at the park. I then suggested to accused 1 that we should go to the shop in order to purchase gas before it closes. On our way back home, after buying the gas, we bought another bag of drugs, which we smoked immediately upon our arrival at home. We first proceeded to Kelly's house and thereafter to Tasa's house, but did not find her there. It was at this stage that I had become hysterical and others joined in to assist in the search for her. Although I am not certain of the time, but I think it was just after 9 o'clock that the South African Police Services were contacted.
So what do you think happened? You think they was all getting high, and then you think, they didn't have any more drugs, and they was like, I got a great idea. Let's, I got an idea to get some bread. Like, this is just all just wild and demonic stuff. And the fact that they're like low key smiling and like, what is there to smile about in this instance? What is there to smile about?
Mother's boyfriend, who was looking after the 2 children that day, claimed that he didn't notice Jocelyn was missing until much later that evening.
Later, Kelly arrived there with police officers.
I don't know what to say. They're still in trial, trying to figure out what happened. her mother said this. She told the court that she later witnessed Mrs. Smith pack some clothes for Jocelyn into a black bag, which she then saw her carry as the two walked to meet a woman Miss Lombard believes was the Sangoma. Mother and daughter got into a white car and drove away with the woman, Miss Lombard said. Speaking on Monday, her last day on the stand. Oh, this is Miss Lombard. I'm sorry, not her mom, Miss Lombard, family friend, told the court that the person who allegedly took Jocelyn wanted her for her eyes and skin. It was made clear in court why a Sangoma. It was not made clear in court why a Sangoma would want a child like this. A woman believed to be a traditional healer was initially arrested and charged alongside Miss Smith and her co-accused last year, but the charges against her were eventually dropped because of a lack of evidence. Sangomas are legally recognized in South Africa under the Traditional Health Practitioners Act of 2007. So y'all legally, that's alongside herbalists, traditional birth attendants, and traditional surgeons. So Sangomas have the same recognition as traditional surgeons in South Africa. That is blowing my mind. It is believed that the ancestral spirits are able to provide advice and healing through these cultural respected practitioners. Some charlatans are involved in unscrupulous traditional so-called cures and have been known to sell good luck charms that involve body parts. Miss Lombard expressed sorrow over her role in Jocelyn's disappearance, saying that she had tried without success to stop Miss Smith from selling her daughter. She appealed to whoever had taken the young girl to please bring her back alive. The trial is expected to run until March 28th. Thinking of a verse. Is it this one? I think it's this one. Let me see. No, it's not that one. I don't know. Unfortunately, nothing is new under the sun. This type of stuff, as terrible, as wicked, as sick, as demonic, as gruesome as it is, this type of stuff has been happening for a very long time, and it's just kind of hard to wrap your head around the fact that there's so much wickedness that exists, assuming that these allegations are true. It's hard to wrap your head around that type of wickedness. But when you look in scriptures, you see people offering their children to these, pagan gods in exchange for blessing, quote unquote. You see these things happen. I'll keep tabs on that story, and I'll, give you guys some updates if anything new develops from it. It is very sick seeing them smile in court, though. I think I had hold on. I think I had this real quick. There was an image. Right here. It is very sick seeing them smile in court. It's sick. It's sick. Anyway,